Enchanted Tiki Talk is brought to you by Kingdom Strollers. Our premium stroller and crib rentals are delivered straight to your Disney or Orlando area resort. It couldn't be easier. Book yours at kingdomstrollers.com. And Mouse Pros. Let our travel specialist plan your next vacation. Our concierge level service gives you the perfect hassle-free vacation. Get your free quote from Sean or any of our magical agents at mousepros.com. And Mickey Monthly, the Disney fans' monthly subscription box that brings the magic right to your door. Visit them at mickeymonthly.com. And buy Woody Sunglasses. Don't let glare ruin your magical view. These premium wood frame polarized sunglasses will let you tour the parks in style. Visit them at woodies.com. And now, it's show time!
Vahidi me kyonimana, ladies and gentlemen. No flashbulbs, please. Our performers are temperamental and easily upset. Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh, look at all the people.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Wait. We forgot to wake up the Glee Club.
Hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to Enchanted Tiki Talk. We are your hosts. I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
I'm Matt.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Alan.
So grab yourself a Dole Whip or a citrus roll, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Enchanted Tiki Talk for 2017. So this week on the show, Scott is not able to be with us while he is partying with his fellow co-workers. Actually, he's drunk on the curb at Disney Springs, but I'm not allowed to show those pictures, but I'm telling you anyway. So we brought on a friend of the show, and it is Dave Koch from the Mickey Doos. What's up, Dave?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Good.
Oh, thanks so much for coming on and filling Scott's spot. This will be pretty easy for you. This is an easy one to replace. So, Dave, why don't you tell everybody out there a little bit about yourself, why you love Disney, and a little bit about your podcast.
All right. Well, I'm from New York City. Disney was definitely a newer acquisition into my life. 37 now. If you would have told me in my 20s that I would be this much of a Disney nut, I would have basically said, okay, what exactly are you on right now? It was through my 20s, I did all this traveling, backpack through Europe, and every time there was a major vacation for my job, I'm a teacher, I was partying and up in Vegas. So it just got to a point where one day I just was hitting off all of the spots that I wanted to visit in the States and abroad, and I had never been to Disney, so I turned 30 and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go to Disney just to say I did it and just kind of just cross it off the bucket list. And when I went, I totally fell in love with it. I met some friends that from another group that I'm in that were former cast members. I had just gotten into running, and they were signing up for one of the Run Disney events, and they invited me to come along. And after doing the first Tower of Terror 10 miler, I think in 2012, I pretty much at that point just got completely bitten by the Disney bug and started signing up for every Run Disney race. And in the process, made a lot of friends with that, and just got more active on Twitter and the Disney community. Had somebody tweet me asking me if I would be interested in doing a podcast. And after months of kind of just talking with the group that was put together, we created the Mickey Dudes podcast, which is basically just a bunch of guys of all different walks of life, ranging from their 20s into their 40s, just talking about Disney, Disney parks, Disney movies, anything it's basically our little vacation, 1 hour vacation through our hectic weeks. We kind of just get to go to a happy place, and we've seemed to have picked up a lot of friends on the way that seem to be listening, so we keep doing it just for the fun of it.
So now with your podcast, one of them had political ambitions to become, I guess, president of the United States, and kind of fell flat. Poor guy. I feel bad for him.
You know, his talents are better suited in other places. I mean, he's really good at watching paint dry and watching the grass grow, stuff like that. So
Yeah, somebody's got to do it, right?
exactly.
I mean, not everybody can become president or, president of the janitorial club in school or whatever he was running for. But
It was the audiovisual club.
audiovisual club. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Next time he can give it a shot.
Exactly.
But that's interesting that you went from the adult Disney, as in Las Vegas, to the Disney for everybody. So how did that transition actually come about? Like spending so much time in Vegas and then deciding to you know what, I'm done with Vegas for the most part and I'm gonna focus more on Disney. How did you come across that?
This is actually going to be a more of a sad story, but I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. That first trip to Disney was supposed to be a 10-week trip, a 10-day trip where I was supposed to get engaged.
Right.
Had the ring, had everything set up. That fell through very quick right before the trip. So it was one of those things. At first, it was I'm gonna go on spite.
Right.
And then after that, I kind of just learned. I went into the trip with a very wrong attitude, and then while I was there, I learned to kind of just let go of all the hate and anger, and I just kind of just was able to put myself in a calm place after a while. And one of the reasons why I go a lot and it's become such an important place to me is it just reminds me sometimes to just let go and just enjoy more the simple things. So it was one of those things that it was a total accident, but out of dirt, flowers grow.
You bring up a perfect point of I think why so many of us do love Disney. It's escape from reality, where we can, not that we could be what we want, but we can do what we want, not have to worry about the pressures of the outside world, and be kids again. And that's sort of kind of what we all want in some way, shape, or form. So Disney fills that void for us in so many different ways. And I'm glad that you were able to use Disney as therapy, as so many of us do. I know Keith, it works for him, it works for me.
Yep.
Matt, it works for you when you get down there, which isn't enough, and it's never long enough for you either. So,
I always have my kids, so it's not that much of an escape to begin with.
Yeah, but you can still enjoy it in different ways.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of Disney.
And Disney through the eyes of a child is the best Disney there is.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit taking them. So yeah, it's I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change anything taking those kids down there.
You see, with me, it was growing up. We didn't have the money to go, and it was always one of those things of I was always being told, study hard, become successful, and you can go to Disney whenever you want. Now my family jokes around me. They're like, "You're going to Disney again?" And I'm like, "Well, you were the one that told me I could go whenever I want when I grew up. So you created this monster."
All right. So with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break.
Hi, I am here with Dave from the Mickey Dudes podcast in front of the Enchanted Tiki Talk, Enchanted Tiki Room. How's it going, Dave?
Things are going good.
Good.
At Disney, it's great.
Exactly. We're here for a Perch Talk, which is sponsored by Trader Sam's Coffee. Brew your happy place. So we have 2 minutes to answer 25 questions. Let's see if you can do it.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Question number 1: favorite Disney World theme park?
Magic Kingdom.
Favorite land in Magic Kingdom?
Adventureland.
Favorite souvenir?
Sword from Pirate's Court.
Favorite quick service?
Launching pad.
Favorite table service?
Kona Cafe.
Favorite on-site hotel?
Riverside.
Favorite parade?
Boudiou.
Favorite fireworks?
Illuminations.
Favorite Epcot Pavilion?
Morocco.
Favorite time of year to attend Walt Disney World?
The Fall.
Monorail and Merryboat?
Monorail.
Favorite thrill ride?
Tower of Terror.
Dole Whip or Citrus Thrill?
Definitely Dole Whip.
Favorite Main Street shop?
The Confectionery.
Favorite princess?
Tiana.
Favorite prince?
Eric.
Favorite Disney song?
Let's Go Fly a Kite.
Favorite non-Disney movie, Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar?
Empire Strikes Back.
Favorite sweet treat?
Candy Apple.
Favorite street performer or band?
British Revolution.
Least favorite attraction.
Magic carpets.
Favorite Disney bar or lounge.
Trader Sam's.
Favorite pool on property.
Polynesian.
And how do you tour World Showcase, Mexico or Canada?
Canada.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Awesome.
All right, we are back from break here, and with the year-end spectacular of Enchanted Tiki Talk, we're going to take some time and talk about some of the big news stories that have come across the Disney community in 2017. So, as in the year in review, some of the big stories here, one of the first big stories here has got to be the one of the first ones came out earlier in 2017 was the Magic Bands 2.0. We all pretty much are using them now, and you have the ability to turn your band, the centerpiece of the Mickey head, into a charm, bracelet, whatever you want to do. Thoughts on this for everybody?
I think that it's a better fit. I think, like style-wise, it's not as thick. Like it looks more like a watch, which is nice. I've never actually tried the charms or that stuff, just because I was always afraid of losing it. Which is nice that you do have multiple options. I think that it's a money, opportunity too, especially now that they keep on doing the, edition ones and the character ones and stuff that they're charging like $33 a pop for. But I like it style-wise though, and it's a nice little change.
I think they definitely fit better, and I'm super excited that I can finally get a pink Magic Band. I don't know why it's taken this long for them to come out with pink, but that will be my next color when I go down there.
They have pink there, Matt.
That's what I'm saying. They just come out with it, didn't they? Oh, no.
The old ones were pink too. They had.
What's the color?
This is millennium.
It's like
pink.
a neon.
Purple
pink
and black came out.
Yeah, purple and black. Brown is coming out next.
Maybe
2018. Millennium Pink is coming out. That's the new color.
That's okay. That's it. Okay.
Which is a much lighter color, which my wife will be very happy to wear. She said already. I mean, for me, the 2.0, it doesn't faze me. I've never done the charms. If people are into that, so be it. But it doesn't matter. I actually like wearing the Magic Band. I think it's pretty easy to use, and I like the convenience of it. From charging privileges to opening your room. Magical Express, everything. I'm on board with the Magic Band.
I personally
it
still
felt
use
like
my old one.
You like the old one, actually?
Yeah, for some reason I just find it a little more sleek and everything. I'm not one for wearing any type of jewelry always. I'm going to be the guy that once I get married, I'm going to have my wedding band tattooed on my finger because I just hate the constrictive feeling of any type of jewelry. So I've carried a pocket watch in the past and everything, and just having to put on that Magic Band, it was a major adjustment for me. And I don't know, I think the more skinny one just feels better on my wrist. When I do have the newer one on, for some reason I do think I'm wearing a watch, and a guy who never wears a watch, I find myself all the time looking at my wrist to see what time it is, and then getting angry that I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's a Magic Band, and it's just getting mad that I'm being stupid to myself.
Now I did notice, to me it felt like, or it seemed like it was easier to use the new ones unlocking the door. You didn't have to kind of twist your wrist at a funny angle to get it to unlock the door. I don't know if that was just me or not, but it seemed like it was easier to scan it when you were using it.
It's probably just you and your height. That's all it is.
I forget about the height thing. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's a flatter band too, and I think that did, it does actually make that easier, so that you didn't have to twist your wrist quite as far. I mean, it's still better than finding a key card and swiping it. But
all right, so next story, let's talk about the closure of Wishes and being replaced by happily ever after at the Magic Kingdom. This is, Wishes was around for like 15 years or whatever it was, such a long time. Wishes had a special place in my heart, and happily ever after became, not necessarily focused on fireworks as opposed to Wishes. It focused more on the castle and the projections that they were able to put on that. So, granted, the use of the castle with the show has been incredible. I don't necessarily feel the same story the love with the music as opposed to wishes. I don't think the story is as strong, but I think as time goes on, it'll grow on me.
I don't really have a whole lot to add. That was one of the many things that I didn't get to experience when we were down there. So I'm not big on the show right now, but I haven't really seen it. So I'm kind of like you. I think, giving it a couple times, it might grow on me.
I've talked about it on this show that the Wishes always had, a special place for me. That song just evoked emotion, and it was more about the feeling than the actual show. Of course, the show was cool. The fireworks were good, but it was more the song for me than the actual show. With Happily Ever After, I do enjoy it after seeing it a couple times. Like, I love the song. I think they did an excellent job. It's more contemporary. I think it fits a long-term goal, like being able to change up the scenes a lot easier as films come out and whatnot. It'll never be what Wishes was, but to a new generation that hadn't ever seen Wishes, that this will be their Wishes. So it's all about progress.
I'm gonna be the minority in this one and say that the story in the show never did anything for me. It was nice to see the fireworks and everything. I loved all the Disney music in it, but the emotion that you guys are talking about, for me, the end of Fantasmic was that thing that did it for me. That you walk out of that feeling like you can conquer the world and everything. Anything is possible. Whereas I know a lot of people had that with Wishes, and I always thought the show was beautiful. I did like the music, but with this new show, people will say that, okay, if you're not in the Magic Kingdom and you don't see the projections, the show makes absolutely no sense. My argument to that is, I can be at the TTC and I'm seeing beautiful fireworks and I'm hearing music from the canon that is basically the soundtrack of my life. Disney music just makes me happy. Even if the songs don't kind of fit together, they're from really good movies and stuff like that. If I'm hearing Disney music at that point, I'm seeing the castle and I'm seeing fireworks, I'm happy. So it kind of was almost indifferent to, the Magic Kingdom needs a fireworks show. For me, it could be Wishes, it could be Happily Ever After. As long as it's fireworks, I'm happy.
That's a great viewpoint to look at it that way. It's, everybody gets so tied up on things. Nobody, if you're on Twitter, the Twitterverse is like destroys absolutely everything. They change a Disney cup to the color green and people flip out. So
hey, that's a big deal, man. Shut up.
It's just. If you could just sometimes
if they're changing it from green to puce.
Right there, you go. If you could just take a step back sometimes and just try to enjoy the moment and what it all is, sometimes you're better off. Listen, I'm gonna argue, every side to Disney because it's something new, something I'm not used to, and I might not necessarily be happy, but there are people out there that are happy, and I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna listen to I'm gonna accept their idea of it, but everybody has their opinion on it and you have to respect their opinion. And I'm not saying your opinion is wrong, Dave. I'm just saying that that's just a great way of thinking to look at it.
Really notes.
Next major story here is Pandora opening after 17 years of construction at Animal Kingdom. This is something that we've talked about for years. Like, what was Pandora going to be like? What were the attractions going to be like? Was it going to be a completely immersive experience? I think Disney definitely hit a home run on Pandora. Not a grand slam, a home run for sure. At night, probably closer to a grand slam than it is during the daytime. But overall, an incredible experience. The attractions, I think, are top notch. There's so much hate. I'm not going to say there's so much hate for the Na'vi River Journey, but I love the Na'vi River Journey. I give high praise to that attraction. I know people want more from that attraction, but I mean, it's brilliant. It's colorful. It's just so much to see, so much to experience on that enjoyed every second being on that attraction.
I think the hate comes from the line more than anything.
You think?
I
personally
so.
think. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you stand there for 4 hours, there is nothing that will ultimately satisfy you.
Exactly.
That's your own fault for standing there for 4 hours.
Well, but
unless you're Scott.
Yeah, unless you're Scott.
But people do it, and I think that even as great as Flight of Passage is, if I stood there for 3 hours, I'd probably be like it could have done more.
Exactly.
For like a 3 hour wait.
Sure, because you could have flown from Orlando to Boston in that time period. That's
right.
There's ways of looking at it, like 3 hours wasted.
Or not for 90 seconds at that point. It's
right.
If you have a fast pass, I say go for it. But if you're waiting all that, and when I did it for the first time, I was in awe of it, but I also had a fast pass. So right. I came off that ride, and I was actually during that time, I was actually with Rebecca Toon when we did it, and we both said to each other, if we would have waited on that line, we would have not been happy. Right. Going on and walking right on with a fast pass, we both walked out in awe, but I can see there was a 2 hour wait when we went, and it just was, I would feel like I was gypped. Whereas we waited 2 hours in line for Flight of Passage, just looking at everything that there was to look at in that queue. And even with that, I insisted that my father, who has bad knees and has 2 replaced knees, a reconstructed hip and a reconstructed shoulder, and was too proud to get a DOS pass at that point, I insisted that he waited 3 hours in the line, and he was getting quite annoyed. And when he came off, he basically said that was so worth for Flight of Passage, that was so worth the payoff. If he would have turned around, and I would not be alive if I made him wait on that for Navi River Journey.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me about that whole area is how confined it is. I mean, they really crammed a lot into a very small area, and as we were talking with Safari Mike, there's not a whole lot that they can do to expand with it unless they tear something down. You would think something on that scale, they would leave some kind of an out where they could add on to it, since Cameron's got another 15 to 20 movies that he's got planned for Avatar to come out. So that was the biggest surprise to me. I didn't get to experience any of the rides, but I literally, when we went through there that morning for the 5K, that was amazing, just running through there. And it wasn't really in the full effect because it wasn't completely dark. So I was blown away just by that little bit of it.
Well, you were amazed because you were next to me. So let's get that straight.
I think I was actually in front of you, but
no, actually, I believe I was leading the way through Pandora. I believe I have pictures.
Okay, we'll let you have your moment. But I mean, it just, as small as that area is, and you had to know that they were expecting that kind of a crowd, and nowhere for people to go. So you would just kind of think that they would maybe open it up a little more or something, just to kind of help alleviate that.
If they were gonna do that, could have only done with the one attraction, like maybe done extra screens to accommodate, more people. Understand that, it's a smaller land, but you're right. The passageways are so narrow, and the curbs and the rocks jet out. And I know that, that's the theming of it, and that's what, is so spectacular, but it doesn't really bode well for traffic.
All right, so let's go from Pandora, which is in another galaxy, to another galaxy, and that is the Tower of Terror, which has been converted to Guardians of the Galaxy attraction in Disneyland. This is something I would love to experience from the videos that I've watched. And normally I don't like to watch videos of attractions that I have not been on before, but because I had no plans to go to Disneyland in the near future, I wanted to watch the video, and I was really pleasantly surprised how well done it was, how and actually how interested I am in actually going out to California and riding that attraction. I understand the hate for some people because of Tower of the Terror, how good Tower of the Terror was, but the Tower of Terror in Disney World, far surpasses one in Disneyland. So at least we still have that in Disney World, and Disneyland, once again is getting something Marvel. So what are your thoughts on this?
I'm like you. I have no idea if or when I will make it out to California, so it doesn't really affect me a whole lot. I think the outside of the building is horrendous. I think it's an eyesore, but from the people that have done it said it's amazing. So I guess, it's worth the way that the building itself looks if you get a decent attraction out of it. Just as long as they don't bring it over to, over here. I want to keep Tower of Terror here.
Yeah, right, exactly.
There's not a ton of room in California to keep things and keep adding new things. So ultimately, have to choose. It's a good, if you want to call it, I can overlay. I mean, that's essentially, what it is. It's a permanent, like an overlay from the videos and stuff I've seen. It's really, really cool. I think the outside of it fits the movie theme. I don't know if it really fits the park theme, but it fits the movie theme. As a a comic nerd, it's nice to see we finally get some actual, comic book stuff in a park. And I know that we are, at Epcot too, so I'm excited for all those.
I am going to agree with Matt, and then I'm going to disagree with Matt. So first off, the building is an eyesore. Just thinking about it, I'm getting a headache. But having actually been out to Disneyland and experiencing it, my feeling is bring it over to Florida because...
Really?
Oh, most definitely. The Rocket Raccoon animatronics are amazing.
It looks it.
And now here's the thing. All right, I understand Tower of Terror. It's supposed to make you scared. You're supposed to scream. Every time I'm on the Tower of Terror, you scream. When you're going up, you're going down. You can't help yourself. You scream. When you're on Mission Breakout, now granted, it doesn't have you don't go through the fifth dimension. It was just the same elevator shaft. You go up and down. There's not that little extra part that happens in Florida. But the way they did the whole Guardians of the Galaxy theme, they're playing music from the Awesome Mix. There's jokes and there's video screens that come up with jokes in it. The entire time you're on Mission Breakout, there's just this huge smile on your face. It's almost like the G-force and the centrifugal force of the ride actually pushes it up to a point where your face actually aches from smiling so much being on the ride.
Nice. At
that point. So it's like, I don't think I screamed once the entire time. I was just this hearty laugh coming out of me on the entire ride. And it was just, after that, it's like, yeah, I got to go back and ride that again. And it was worth waiting 2 hours in line to go redo it. Now, as far as my counterparts on the Mickey Dudes, some of them would turn around and say I'm completely blasphemous, and I'll say, well, Tower of Terror is not Tower of Terror. The Twilight Zone, while it is it's an intellectual property that is pretty much dead at this point, where Guardians of the Galaxy is current. Chuck will turn around and say, yeah, but the music's from the 80s. Point taken. But the fact is, it is something that's current. It kind of just... It just kind of just right now it just fits with the times. Most people today they don't know about the Twilight Zone.
Exactly, most don't.
And that's the thing that I feel just with the intellectual property. It's play to your strengths, and hence that's why we had to welcome our new frozen overlords.
All right, so let's leave this galaxy and go explore our universe as a whole, and that is the closing of Ellen's Universe of Energy. Bye. See ya. Doesn't phase
Moving
me.
on.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I can't remember the last time I wrote it, and yeah, I don't like what they're bringing in. But see you later, Ellen.
I didn't think I maybe rode that once. Like, I wasn't really impressed with it. It took too long. I am excited for what they're bringing there, even though, you know, it doesn't really fit the park, blah, 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 blah. I was actually shocked to see that there were people that were, you know, outing about, you know, chaining themselves to the door so it didn't actually lock on Twitter, because it's amazing how everybody owes and loves an attraction as soon as they announce it's closing.
That's the way it always works, right?
Yeah.
We haven't rode this in forever. Got to get in there now.
Well, you know, speaking of closures, then you have the Great Movie Ride, which is closing down, which had closed down, which had recently gotten a refurb last year, was it, or the year before? You know, within.
I wasn't broke.
God.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I was expanding on your movie ride. Then continue.
Yeah, I mean, because that, you know, that had a minor refurb to it, adding the guy from AMC, which I never got to experience. But you know, they're bringing on, you know, Mickey's coaster, so you know, I don't. The thing that I didn't understand was closing it when the studios is the shell of its former self, and closing it for a year and a half, for 2 years. It just didn't make sense in my book. But it'll be nice to have a new attraction coming in there. And, you know, it needed an overhaul, which never spent the money on the proper overhaul, adding new movies to it, and it just never happened.
I'm just gonna miss on both attractions Time to Sleep. I mean,
yeah, Universe of Energy, you got a good 45 minutes.
Well, that was the thing. With Ellen, I would go in, whoever I was with, we'd pick our little church pew. I'd just go in, lie down, take my shoes off, and the entire time just lie on the bench and sleep the entire time in the air conditioning. Just wake up refreshed for the rest of the day in Epcot.
Right.
On the Great Movie Ride, I don't remember what time I was riding or anything, but I was with a group, and I just was not. It was never one of my favorites. All I remember is one time during the alien scene, I was completely out. And this little boy from behind me taps me on the shoulder. Hey, mister, wake up. You're snoring.
Oh, my gosh.
See, it always blows my mind when people talk about sleeping there, because those were the most uncomfortable seats. Yeah. I don't know how people were able to get comfortable and fall asleep in there.
The cool air where your body's finally cooling off, and
exactly.
Your body's just giving in and taking a break. That's all it is.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from the Great Movie Ride, we'll spend a little bit more time in Hollywood Studios, and we will talk about Toy Story Land. You know, we got a little more information on Toy Story Land, and that's coming 2018, right? Yeah, the end of summer of 2018. I don't even know what year it is. The summer of 2018. We got some information there. The artwork that they showed looks great. Excited to see Toy Story Land coming, and then more information about on Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge, which is a whole new planet, new to the Star Wars world, and you know, fans as a whole. They showed you a mock-up, a complete mock-up at D23 of what to expect in Star Wars Land. I mean, this is just going to be a complete immersive experience, from droids to aliens to anything, you know, your heart desires. They're going to have walk-around characters inside there, which is going to be, hopefully it's something that'll stick around. I mean, this place is going to be mobbed, so 2 things coming to Hollywood Studios is going to bring that place back to life. This is a good thing.
I'll start on Toy Story Land. It's one of our favorite movies. It was the first movie that my wife and I saw once we started actually dating, so it's a special movie for us, and we just love it. Actually, you know, experience that in terms of a full scale version is just going to be amazing. And Galaxy's Edge, I mean, how much more excited can a geek be than to be able to walk around on this planet is based on Star Wars? I mean, that's every kid's dream who has ever seen a Star Wars movie. I heard, which is really cool, that they won't actually have souvenir shops. They will have like street vendors who will sell you trinkets and stuff and toys, but everything is themed. So there is nothing except for strollers and short shorts that will take you from this environment, which is really, really cool.
I'm just excited.
I think we're getting a.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
I think we're getting a preview of what Galaxy's Edge is going to be by getting to experience Pandora, the world of Avatar. If they've done that with Pandora, an intellectual property that most people don't even care about, imagine what they're going to do with something that's beloved by all.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That's exactly what I was going to say. After seeing what they went into with Pandora, I'm just excited to see what they're going to do with adding on to this park, and this park actually taking some type of shape and everything.
Next, with announcements coming out of D23, a couple things here is one, Ratatouille was finally announced for Epcot. Going to the Paris pavilion there, which is awesome. I know Keith is very excited about this. He's a big Ratatouille fan, so that's great. And adding another attraction into Epcot, a new attraction into Epcot, is definitely needed. A lot of people, some of us are against adding attractions to World Showcase, but I think this one actually fits well, and I think this is going to be a huge hit for Epcot.
I think another big point too, like you're saying, adding an attraction, it's on the other side of World Showcase, so it'll kind of balance it out a little bit, so everything's not on one side of World Showcase. So I think that's going to be a big thing that people maybe aren't really focusing on or realizing right now.
I think what they're going to need to do now is they're going to need to do a character breakfast at Le Chef de France and basically have Remy and Emile walking around,
right,
or
like
something this way. Yeah, or even if they have the larger, the big characters that they have for them around this way, just people can get in, so they can basically make that 8 a.m. breakfast so that they can get in for the 9 o'clock opening of the ride,
right?
Like they do with Akashus, with Frozen.
Also speaking of that side of Epcot, is two other major things are coming in. There's a new resort coming in, which is going to be a DVC resort. DVC resort, right? Is that the DVC one? Yeah, DVC resort coming in over to the Epcot area, and also a Skyliner that is going to bridge Hollywood Studios, Epcot, Art of Animation, and Pop Century, right? Well, Pop Century is included in that. So there's going to be a beautiful Skyliner coming to that area.
I think Caribbean Beach,
yes, thank you. Yeah. Tying all those together, so you're not necessarily going to need to take a bus to get to those two parks anymore. You can get down to a Skyliner that will hold 8 people. That's pretty cool.
I think it's something that's much needed. I mean, the buses are not reliable, and it's got to the point where the infrastructure just can't hold the amount of people to get you there when you need to get there. So I think it's something that will be quote unquote free, that you don't have to worry about depending on buses or anything like that.
Right. The next two big stories coming out of D23 focusing on the Magic Kingdom is the Tron coaster coming into the Tomorrowland area of the park, and also the new theater that is coming to Main Street. Two things that will definitely enhance Magic Kingdom. For the most part, the Main Street cinema is huge. I mean, that's going to redefine Main Street, so I'm happy to see that. And Tron in some ways is going to redefine the Tomorrowland area too. So I'm wondering, with the Tron coming, you'll see a refurb of Tomorrowland.
I'm hoping so. It makes sense that, even though it's an 80s movie in that way, 1986 Tomorrowland definitely needs a facelift. So
Well, and two, outside of the ride, it doesn't look like it's 80s appropriate. Like, it looks like it's a futuristic building from the concept art. So
agreed.
I think it does actually give them a chance to redo the whole space, and with Stitch being out of there now, that's another space that they can use up. Right. So I'm excited to see what they put in there.
The last major news story that I want to talk about is the Disney acquisition of 20th Century Fox. That's pretty huge, because they're going to bring a absolutely immense film and TV library into the Disney fold, because Disney plans on creating their own version of Netflix, which they say is going to be cheaper than Netflix, but adding the 20th Century Fox is certainly going to enhance that. They're bringing on the Die Hard franchise, the Avatar franchise, the Aliens franchise, bringing on the Simpsons, Chronicles of Narnia. There's so much things that are coming into the Disney universe. This is going to be an exciting future for the Walt Disney Company, come the next few years, bringing all the Marvel characters back into the Marvel expanded universe, the cinematic universe. This is, as a Marvel fan, this is going to be huge for you, but overall, if you're a cinema fan, you might see some of your beloved trilogies come back to life, or movies come back to life with this.
My mic drop moment for that was when I realized, reading somebody's either Twitter or somebody's Facebook status, Disney now owns Star Wars and Spaceballs.
You have it right
awesome.
there. That's great.
Wouldn't that be cool? Well, they always said that they would do a Spaceballs 2 to search for more money, so now's their chance to do it.
All right, so that's pretty much going to wrap up the news stories here. The one last thing I want to do is I want to talk about the big moment of 2017 for each of you guys, in the Disney universe. Dave, what's yours?
I'm going to have to go with dedicated entrances for annual pass holders. It was a small thing, but it just made me feel special, and it's one of those things that you just want to go through them. I'll wait for the 30 people that are waiting to get into that one, even though there's 2 people going on the other one,
right.
Just on principle.
Right.
I did that too, to be honest with you, and I felt really dumb. But I felt special dumb, so that was good.
Exactly.
But you, Matt?
I guess I'll go more on a personal level. Personally, was just getting to do the first Run Disney and hang out with you guys at the parks. As far as for Disney itself, I guess the big thing was them pulling the curtain back a little bit on Star Wars Land. I'm excited to see that, especially like we mentioned earlier with what they did with Pandora and just seeing what's coming there. So that was the big thing for me. I've always been a huge fan of the movies, and Star Tours was just enough to kind of whet your appetite to get to experience that. And now you're going to actually walk around on a new planet and fly the Millennium Falcon and everything. So I'm ready for that one to open.
I think for me, personal level is definitely doing the 5K with my wife and all of you guys, and crossing that finish line and honoring Alan. A few, like years ago, I could barely walk at 3.1 miles. So to be able to actually finish that was big for me. And as far as Disney goes, I think it is the Fox deal. It just opens up so many doors that it can be done in this big cohesive world and not have 2 separate Marvels fighting against each other. So it should be cool.
For me, on the personal level, that would have been, the same thing with you two guys, was doing the 5K for the first time with the Run Disney event and spending time with you guys. And, I just love that so much, as we've talked about in the past. Disney-wise, me experiencing Pandora at night for the first time was probably one of my favorite Disney things to do and experience this past year. So, that was definitely top of my list. With that, we have our Tiki Lightning round that every guest gets to do. So, Dave, are you ready for the 5 questions in the Tiki Lightning round?
Let's go.
Favorite character?
Figment.
Favorite snack?
Dole Whip.
Favorite movie?
Princess and the Frog.
Favorite attraction?
Splash Mountain.
Favorite theme park memory?
Probably meeting a bunch of the Disney Twitterverse in the hub of Magic Kingdom.
Cool. Nice. Sticking with
Awesome.
What got you into it. All right, Dave, thank you so much for coming on the show. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on social media if they would like to stalk you, ask you out on a date, anything?
You can find me on Facebook at Dave Koch, Twitter and Instagram at Figments Reality, and you could also follow the Mickey Dudes podcast on Twitter at the Mickey Dudes, and find us on iTunes.
All right, so that's going to do it for this week. But first, we want to thank our sponsors, Kingdom Strollers. Get your premium stroller and crib rental at kingdomstrollers.com. Want to decorate those boring magic bands? Make sure to check out the customized decals at myfantasybands.com. Make sure to use the code Enchanted Tiki Talk 20 to save 20% off your order. Let the vacation experts at mousepros.com help plan your next perfect Disney vacation. Get a clear view of the parks with Woody's polarized sunglasses. Check out all their wood frame styles at woodys.com. Don't forget to check out our store at redbubble.com/Tiki Talk Podcast. And you can connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook at Enchanted Tiki Talk, Instagram and Twitter at Tiki Talk Podcast. And you can also leave us a message on the Tiki Talk hotline, which is 256-4MY-TIKI, 256-469-8454. And if you enjoy the show, please take the time to rate us on iTunes.
And you can find me on Twitter at 1 Minute Disney Dream. That's 1MIN Disney Dream, MouseWorldVacations.com. You can find Scott at Disney Springs on a curb somewhere.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dole Whip Daily.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at mholly579. With all that being said, big thanks to our special guest, Dave. Alan. Yeah, Alan, it's been a tough year, but we know you're right there with us. Go ahead and take it away, bud.
Thanks for listening this week. For Sean and Keith and Matt, I'm Alan, and this has been Enchanted Tiki Talk. Aloha.
Enchanted Tiki Talk has been brought to you by mousepros.com. Let us plan your perfect Disney vacation. And mickeymonthly.com, where you can get the park sent directly to you. And by kingdomstrollers.com for all your premium stroller and crib rental needs. Also by Trader Sam's Coffee. Why not brew some magic in your home? And finally, woodies.com. Sunglasses for a glare-free view of the magic. For all of us here, I'm David Benter. Thanks for listening to Enchanted Tiki Talk.